This is Cozy Glow, a Pegasus child who attempted to overthrow the kingdom and declare herself Empress of Friendship. Among many other crimes, including but not limited to attempted murder, grand theft magical artifact, and the destruction of all magic in Equestria. And for her actions, she was turned to stone. Although this was the punishment for 3 other villains who attempted the same things as her, the punishment is incredibly harsh, leading to a moral debate that people for some reason seem to get very heated over. And that debate is whether or not Cozy Glow should have been turned to stone. And I'll be honest, it took me quite a while to figure out where I stand on this issue because there are some really good arguments for both sides. I ran a poll recently asking people how they felt, and most people definitely think it was right for her to be turned to stone. And there were a lot of comments on both sides of this debate. And as somebody who has looked at both sides pretty closely for a long time, I think I can safely say that I have a pretty good understanding of where people from both sides are coming from with this debate. And I think the conclusion might not be quite as simple as a yes or no, because different people approach this debate from different angles. And how you feel about Cozy Glow being turned to stone largely depends on which perspective you take. The 3 main angles people tend to look at this issue from are 1. A moral perspective. Was it morally right for her to be turned to stone? 2. The narrative perspective, which is would the story have been better or made more sense for her to be set free rather than turned to stone? And then the 3rd perspective is an in-world perspective. That is, from the perspective of Twilight and her friends, would it be better to try and reform her or imprison her? And this is the part where I see a lot of people say that she should be imprisoned, because she is simply too dangerous to be set free. The main 6 have also already tried teaching her the values of friendship, and she deliberately chose evil. However, if we want to look at the other side's perspective and look more at the narrative and moral side of the argument, one of the biggest and strongest arguments for not turning Cozy Glow to stone is that it goes against the core teachings of the show. That teaching being that anyone can change for the better. No matter how far gone someone is, they always have the potential to change. Heck, Starlight was a former villain who was willing to destroy the entire world to get what she wanted, and in the next season, the main 6 are all kidnapped, so she is leading a group of former villains to save the day. And in the season immediately following after that, we were introduced to the Pony of Shadows. And the entire message with those episodes was that even though he was so far gone to the point where he was willingly bringing the dark magic into his life, he could still change. One of the key ways that the characters in MLP defeat the villains is by making them their friends. In fact, this is how they defeat most enemies. The only characters who were ever straight up killed were the Storm King and King Sombra, who were designed to be pure evil villains with no redeeming qualities. And yet, Cozy Glow, T-Rex, and Queen Chrysalis were all turned to stone. And a lot of people point out that these 3 characters, especially Cozy Glow, should have been given another chance. I mean, she is just a child after all, and is very impressionable and the most likely to change out of all of them. But then, this is where the other side comes in again, claiming that this argument removes Cozy Glow of her agency, and of course, children can commit evil acts, just like adults can, and should be held accountable. And yeah, I can see this point as well. Cozy Glow is not in a situation where she was simply led astray. She knows full well what she is doing is wrong. She openly admits it, brags about it, and even sings a song about her villainy. She gets a thrill from harming others, and not only was she given another chance, but she enrolled in the School of Friendship where they literally teach good morals every day. They have trust-building exercises, teamwork, and many other things that give her the best opportunity imaginable, and yet she still chose evil. And at that point, it seems pretty clear. From an in-world perspective, she is not willing to change and is too dangerous to be left free. And from a moral standpoint, people who commit evil acts should be punished. You can argue that maybe the punishment was too harsh, but it's clear that she should still at least be punished. And from a narrative perspective, it seems to make more sense story-wise that she's just a pure evil villain, and therefore, we should not expect to see her reformed. From every perspective, it only makes sense that she should be turned to stone. But I have a question about this stance. Was she really given the best opportunity? See, I have a slightly different view on this topic than most people. I do not believe that Cozy Glow was set up for success quite like people think. Yeah, it's true that Cozy Glow wants to be evil. But why does she want to be evil? A lot of people bring up that we never get a look at her home life, thinking that must have had something to do with her being evil. But honestly, I don't think it has anything to do with it, because she straight up tells us and makes it very clear why she has chosen villainy. She simply wants power. Cozy Glow loves having power and control over others, hence why her cutie mark is a chess piece, a literal symbol of manipulation. She even states this in her monologue to Starlight that friendship isn't magic. Friendship is power. And the more friends she has, the more power she wields. This right here is where the problem lies. While Cozy Glow may have a fundamental misunderstanding of why ponies make friends, during her monologue, she's not wrong. Friendship in this universe is literally power. It is a power strong enough to destroy King Sombra, the unicorn who in a matter of minutes was able to take over the entire Crystal Empire without breaking a sweat. Friendship is quite literally a weapon, and it's a powerful one. We are told repeatedly throughout the show that the most powerful magic of all is the magic of friendship, and Cozy Glow sees that. When Cozy Glow is first introduced to the CMC, they are tutoring her with her friendship homework, but when she's given flashcards to represent the different elements of harmony, look at how she responds.
Intelligence? Is it control?
They show her generosity, she sees intelligence. They show magic, she sees control. And this only makes sense for a pony whose special talent is, again, manipulation. She may have been given lessons on friendship, but she immediately came at them with the manipulation of others as a key part of who she is and how she operates her day-to-day life. And anytime she supposedly does something nice for some pony else, it's always to serve herself in some way. So when you take some pony like that and throw her into the school of friendship, where she learns very clearly the more friends you have, the more power you wield, she is going to see an opportunity to gain control over others by weaponizing friendship. And from there, every lesson she learns about friendship will be twisted in her mind to serve herself somehow. The first time they caught Cozy Glow, Twilight asked her why she attempted to take over the School of Friendship. And Cozy Glow responded, "Why? Because friendship is power. You might be the princess of friendship, but as head mayor of this school, I can collect even more friends than you." And Twilight said, "You're the one who doesn't get it, Cozy. Friendship is powerful, but power isn't why you make friends." I'm sorry I couldn't teach you that. But the thing is, in a way, it was due to Twilight's teachings that Cozy Glow tried to stage a coup in the first place. At this point, it is made very clear to Twilight and the others that Cozy Glow has a fundamental misunderstanding of what friendship even is. Now it is Twilight's responsibility to correct her. But she doesn't! She does not even try to reform her! Cozy Glow was never given a second chance. Not even once. No pony ever explained to her why her view of friendship was wrong. All they said was, "You don't make friends for power, you silly filly." Then threw her into Tartarus without ever explaining the actual reason why you make friends. The reason Cozy Glow makes friends for power is because Twilight indirectly taught her to do that. And this is where the argument about her being a child comes in. She is still impressionable. Not only can she be corrected, but she can be corrected much more easily than all the other villains. This is not a matter of Cozy Glow seeing two options and choosing evil. This is a matter of she saw two options, and from her perspective, based on what she was taught, the evil route seemed to offer everything the good route did and far more. Because all Cozy Glow learned was that making friends gives you power. And if you go the evil route, you can make even more friends and not have to give nearly as much. And Twilight didn't even make the teeniest effort to correct her. All she said was, "You're wrong, Cozy, and now I'm giving up on you." And all of this is made even worse when you consider that just one season ago, with the Pony of Shadows, Twilight learned the lesson that a simple conversation can change hearts and minds, and she applies none of that here. And from this point, things only look worse for Twilight, because in Season 9, she once again never gives Cozy Glow the opportunity to change. And some people argue that she had made up her mind and that there's not a good bone in her body. Sometimes a bad apple's just a bad apple and can't be redeemed. She doesn't even want to change. And I find that people who claim this usually cite this scene where Cozy Glow, T-Rex, and Chrysalis all work together to get Grogar's spell. Afterwards, they feel a slight happiness within themselves after having worked together and even even performing some selfless acts. Immediately, however, Chrysalis identifies this feeling as friendship and quashes the idea from both T-Rex and Cozy Glow's minds, calling it a disease that infected her people. And I see so many people claim that this moment is the moment that solidifies them as irredeemable villains, just like King Sombra and the Storm King, which justifies them being turned to stone, because this is the moment when they all choose to be evil. Oh well, this scene, and the entire episode actually, suggests the exact opposite. This clip is from the episode Frenemies. In this episode, these characters start off hating each other, but are forced to work together. And over the course of the episode, we see them engage in laughter, loyalty, honesty, kindness, selflessness, and teamwork. And that moment after they get Grogar's bell proves that there is in fact a part of them that wants to change and embrace friendship. I can't play you guys the whole clip because Hasbro will try and copyright claim this video, but I will read to you what they said, and I want you to listen to their words and then tell me that there's no good in them. This is immediately after T-Rex returns Chrysalis's magic to her. I wasn't sure if you were gonna give it back. Neither was I! But working together seemed smarter than to continue fighting. When we helped each other, it felt better somehow. I haven't felt this since before I lost my hive. Having others who will be there for you is pleasing. All these years taking power from ponies. When you use your power to help others, yes, it feels... No! This episode makes it very clear that all three of these characters have potential for change. And honestly, I and many other people were shocked by the end of the series they didn't. This is one of the main reasons I did not like how Season 9 ended. And I am specifically talking about the ending of the end, not the last problem. Because it seemed like they were setting up this great story of redemption for these characters that never came to pass. And while T-Rex and Chrysalis were given opportunities to change, albeit pretty weak opportunities, Cozy Glow was not. Her being put into Twilight School did not set her up for success, but it set her up for failure. And all that needed to change was how she viewed friendship. And Twilight knew this, and she did absolutely nothing. At this point, the only other argument I hear in favor of turning Cozy Glow to stone is that she is simply too dangerous to be set free, and therefore it's completely justified. I mean, you have to think about the greater good. You have to protect Equestria after all. And to that I say, really? Because that did not stop them from setting free the Lord of Chaos, the villain who can do literally anything. If there is anyone who is quote-unquote too dangerous to be set free, it's him. And yeah, you could argue that they had the elements of harmony, and if Discord got out of line, they could just zap him back to stone. But that still doesn't remove the danger. All he has to do is get one element away from one character, and suddenly the rest are rendered useless. Which, if you recall, is exactly what he did. And similar to Cozy Glow, he did it through abusing friendship. Fluttershy was trying to befriend him, Discord pretended to be friends with her in order to get what he wanted, but then the moment Fluttershy told him that she's not his friend, he realized that friendship was something that, once he had it, he didn't want to lose it. He now understood friendship, and the same thing could have been done with Cozy Glow. This guy was allowed to be set free, but Cozy Glow is deemed too dangerous. I don't buy it for a second. Yes, we all make our own decisions. Yes, children can do evil things and should be held accountable. Yes, Cozy was given a choice and chose evil, and yes, Cozy is a danger to all the ponies in Equestria. But once you look at the full picture, it no longer matters. Let's take a look at the three perspectives I brought up earlier. From an in-world perspective, she should not have been turned to stone because Twilight found the root of the problem and never bothered to help her. From a narrative perspective, they set up Cozy Glow and the other villains as characters to be redeemed, but didn't go through with it. And from a moral perspective, there is no reason why Twilight shouldn't help Cozy Glow. They need to give her a real chance to change. To do anything else goes against the core messaging of this show. And after that, there is only one other point that I know people will bring up, and it is not a good one. That point is that Cozy Glow's actions were simply unforgivable. Forgiveness is not an option that should even be considered for someone who did everything she did out of a misunderstanding. And if this is the position you hold, if this is the hill you are going to die on, then I ask you, Has this show taught you nothing? Trixie enslaves an entire town. Nightmare Moon tries to murder her sister and bring eternal night. Discord takes over Equestria and morphs it into his Chaos Empire. Chrysalis captures tons of ponies, including a baby, poses as Shining Armor's fiance, lays siege to Canterlot, and still is offered a second chance. Starlight brainwashed an entire town, then later on kills everyone. But Cozy Glow tries much of the same stuff and has somehow gone too far? I guess the only thing that everyone else that I mentioned never tried was draining magic. I guess that's where we draw the line because the main 6 didn't offer T-Rex a second chance either. And let's say for a moment Cozy Glow was given a second chance and she did decide to turn good. Then why should she be deemed unforgivable? If someone has done horrible actions against you or anyone else, tries their best to change, puts in all the effort, and even becomes a stand-up individual helping others and being a positive influence on the world, then why continue to hold anything against that person? Because that person who you continue to hold anger against, that person who you choose to continue persecuting, is no longer the same person they once were. The person who you continue to hold your anger against no longer lives. As a matter of fact, they shouldn't even need to do anything to earn forgiveness. If someone is truly sorry, then you give forgiveness regardless. Trust, sure, that needs to be earned. But forgiveness? If someone is truly sorry, then yeah, forgive that person. And while this changed individual is leaving a positive impact on the world, your refusal to forgive this person is accomplishing nothing good. All it does is hurt people, and the person that it hurts the most is not the person that you refuse to forgive, it's yourself. Holding on to anger and refusing to let go, no matter what, is unhealthy. It becomes something that consumes you, adding immense stress to your life that grows constantly. And every time you think back to that person you refuse to forgive, you will only be filled with anger. To make matters worse, the amount of people throughout your life who you choose to not forgive never goes down. It only grows. And your life will be just filled with nothing but anger to the day you die. And I don't know about you, but that isn't something that I want to fill my life with. Not when forgiveness is an option. To choose to remain angry and hateful is to choose a path that invites evil into my life. A very similar evil that we condemn Cozy Glow for having. Whew! That was a heavy topic. I do not want to make these kinds of videos on the regular. That's exhausting. I don't think I cracked a joke the entire video. No, wait! I just thought of something! Oh, darn! Okay, we'll do it lightly this time. Oh, I probably should have removed the shell. Oh. Tastes good. And a pepper. Salt! Got to pepper the other side as well. Bon appetit! This joke is terrible. I have heard a lot of arguments as to why Cozy Glow should be turned to stone, and I hope that I've managed to cover them all. If you have some other argument that I've maybe not considered, feel free to leave it down in the comments. I am curious. Is there something I missed? Please let me know, and a huge thank you to my patrons on Patreon. Guys, guess what? For $1 a month, I do extra videos. One of those videos is an egg review. No, not that egg. And yes, it's a joke too.